I'm pleased to announce this morning that the Department of Education will soon issue new guidance protecting the right to prayer in our public schools, and it's total protection.
Look, I'm not jumped to the conclusion that I believe that there are, aliens coming from another planet. But I'm open to that. And I think that it's our responsibility, especially when we're seeing that we have a government that is actively blocking information from us. I want to cue up a video that I've been given. And as before it starts, I'm going to describe, this was taken October 30th of 2024. This video is of an MQ-9 drone tracking an orb, or this object, off the coast of Yemen. You'll see that another MQ-9 launched a Hellfire missile. You cannot see that drone. And so I'm not going to explain it to you. You'll see exactly what it does.
I remember, the last committee when we had a bunch of former military personnel folks that either served on bases, were pilots, or were in different programs experiencing knowledge. It made me recognize that the narrative has changed, right? It's politically convenient for the government if you all weren't military folks in suits. It would be much better if you pulled up in Winnebagos and were wearing hats. And so the picture of this, because that's important for the American people on how you tell a story, what the message looks like, and who the messenger is. So this is now the second or third committee where we have former military folks with impeccable records, with information and knowledge. And it's definitely clear on a bipartisan basis that we have to protect our whistleblowers. There's no doubt. And in a day in which it's really hard to tell what's true or not from a political standpoint. And so I don't really know what is true. I don't know on this subject. But I do know when we're being lied to. And we are definitely being lied to. There's just no doubt about that.
I was in the barracks. There was a little smoke pit outside. I was there on the telephone and looking across to the flight line. And I see a white light pop up and stop about 100 feet in the air. I thought it was a weather balloon. The light then flies across the base, across the flight line, and as it flies to me, a triangle manifests around the light.
Don't know what we saw. What we saw changed our lives and the way we think about everything. The object I saw, I don't even know if it was an object. It was a light. It was an orb. It didn't look like a craft, but it did look solid.
There is something out there, and we should know as the people what it is.
Someone would see a light. They would pay attention to the light. And then the object responds. It performs for you. And then they come down and they investigate you. So it's almost like they're curious.
The craft itself was this black metallic flake paint, but on top of the craft was this gold lava, plasma, some type of fluid going over and around the craft.
Do you think that any of this is a psyop by the U.S. government?
Entirely possible. I mean, our government and other governments have admitted that they've tried to use UFOs to cover secret projects. But I think they also do some reverse engineering of those claims. So years after people start seeing UFOs over Area 51, for example, they come up with the story, oh, yeah, that was, we planted that story. So I read in a major newspaper just a couple of weeks ago, they planted this story. An Air Force colonel went out into the desert, went to a bar at Rachel, and gave them some fake UFO photos. And that's how the whole story about Area 51 started, which is preposterous.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. We wanted to take some of the members of the cabinet out to dinner to say, and here we are, we're standing right in the middle of D.C., which, as you know, about over the last year was a very unsafe place. Over the last 20 years, actually, it was very unsafe. And now it's got virtually no crime.
The people of Washington, D.C. should be empowered to make their own decisions. And quite frankly, if the president is so obsessed with governing D.C., he should step down as president and run for mayor. Now, Mr. Comer, we'll talk about this first bill. I and Democrats strongly oppose the so-called District of Columbia Home Rule Improvement Act, which should just be known, quite frankly, as the Home Rule Reduction Act. We know that D.C.'s autonomy is already limited, as the world has learned over the last month. I understand how difficult the federal government can make running a city on a day-to-day basis, and we should be empowering D.C. to fix its own problems.
Mr. Frost.
No, I just have a question for my colleague from the state of Louisiana, because I'm curious as to where your bill is. Louisiana is the state with the second highest rate of deaths in this nation. You are more likely to be shot standing on a random street in your state than you are in Washington, D.C. So my question is, where's your bill for the occupation of the state of Louisiana to keep your people safe, if you're at all sincere in this?
Gentleman, yield for an answer.
I yield for an answer.
I support state rights. I'm a constitutionalist.
But not D.C.?
Stand by. As a constitutionalist, I support my state, my sovereign state's legislature, which is doing everything it can to push back upon the crime rate of the Democrat-controlled cities.
Okay, so I'll take my time back. I'll take my time back.
If you remove
the
crime stats
that's the
of New
rules.
Orleans,
I'll take my time back. I'll take my time back. So you only invoke the rules when other people are speaking, not when you're speaking. Okay.
That's your time.
I agree with you. Look, I'm for state sovereignty. So what do you think about California?
California is not where I live. You're asking about my state.
See, you only care, and I'll reclaim my time. I'll reclaim my time. I'll reclaim my time. I'll reclaim my time. I will reclaim my time. The gentleman will stop speaking. I will reclaim my time. You're more likely to be shot standing in a random street in your state, in Louisiana, than anywhere in Washington, D.C., and you're here because you're lapdogs to the President of the United States, who, during the election last year, we said time and time again, I reclaim my time.
Down, Mr. Chairman.
All right, hold on.
My colleague just called me a lapdog for the President of the United States. I move for his words to be taken down.
A second.
We'll stand in.
Before we begin, let me express the horror and grief so many Americans at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk have felt. Charlie was a giant of his generation, a champion of liberty, and an inspiration to millions and millions of people. Our prayers are with his wonderful wife, Eric, and his beautiful children. Fantastic people they are. We miss him greatly, yet I have no doubt that Charlie's voice and the courage he put into the hearts of countless people, especially young people, will live on. I'm pleased to announce that I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom